Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kaelyn and today I'm taking you along for a slightly different video. We are talking all things books, but more specifically we're talking about books set in academia. So not everything I mention in this video is going to be dark academia focused, because as I see it and as the internet seems to see it, dark academia has a variety of different themes that are kind of indicative of the category that are necessary for someone to call it dark academia. The book that is known for this is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. So dark academia is often classified as an academic setting with some kind of sinister or dark themes. And in The Secret History in particular, we have a group of friends in this classics course. A new student has arrived at this New England liberal arts college and is trying to get into this particular class. Now, it's a little bit of a culty, club-like group that is attached to this one professor. And the students just take it a little too far. And I didn't quite know what to expect. I read this last year. When I began my journey into dark academia, I thought that it was just an atmospheric academic setting. I didn't know that it had themes of sexual and physical abuse, that it had themes of colonialism and superiority and some thrillery crime murdery aspects to it. So I was not expecting the kind of thrillery aspects of this particular book. A character dies. I don't think that that's necessarily a spoiler because it's pretty evident from the get-go that something has happened to one of the characters, and the entire book is basically figuring out, obviously what happens that leads to that particular event, but also what happens afterward. This had me on the edge of my seat. As Emmy Reed likes to say, 5 stars is a feeling, and this was definitely 5 stars. I highly recommend, but definitely check on the themes before you dive in. Now, the next book in the dark academia, academic setting category is The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. One slight warning is I have not finished this book, but this is about Dracula. And so basically it starts with a young girl who discovers something within a journal or manuscript of her father's, and her father used to be a historian. And she asks him about this, and he has to tell her this long drawn out story about how when he was a PhD student, he discovered evidence that Dracula was still alive. It's set across Europe. It's very atmospheric, and so I really want to finish it this year, and it's going in my TBR pile. Now, some of the books that I'm going to be sharing with you, I have either read or am planning to read or have started. One of those that I actually started but decided not to finish is one notable addition to the dark academia category, and that is Ninth House by Leigh Burdugo. I have a funny story about this book in particular because I actually didn't read any fiction from when I was in college and when I started my graduate studies at Oxford. The day I got my acceptance letter to Yale, I went straight to Waterstones on my walk back to Somerville College, went straight on in, and I picked up Ninth House. Now, Ninth House is set in New Haven at Yale University with a student who can essentially see ghosts. I don't know the exact term for what she sees, and she gets matriculated or indoctrinated into Skull and Bones. And so Skull and Bones is a secret society. It does exist. The building on campus was on my walk to teach classes when I was at Yale, and this book was absolutely beautifully written, edge of my seat thriller, but I decided to DNF it because it just had some themes of sexual violence that I just couldn't quite get past. I think this is probably a 5-star book, but I decided personally for my own reasons not to finish it. But I do recommend checking it out. Just make sure you check the trigger warnings beforehand, but the writing is beautiful. The setting is very atmospheric and spooky, probably perfect for October, but maybe not perfect for a student who actually has to live in New Haven. I have a very vivid imagination, and I could keep imagining seeing what I was reading when I got to campus. So I highly recommend it. even though I didn't finish it. Now, before we get on to the next two, which are my favorites, we gotta talk about today's sponsor, and that is my longtime favorite partner on this YouTube channel, Ana Luisa. So Ana Luisa is a sustainable jewelry wear company out of New York, and it is their anniversary. I have worked with them for several years. They were one of the first partners that I worked with on my YouTube channel back when I was just a baby vlogger in the early days of my PhD. Since starting working with them, I have worked with their representative. Her name is Andrea, and though I have never met her in person, she has just been so incredibly supportive of my channel and my ideas and has sent me such beautiful jewelry over the years. It is the only jewelry that I wear, so if you ever see me wearing, you know, my rings, which I wear every single day, or you can see this little necklace here, all of it's Ana Luisa. I love that they have such a variety of pieces. I have things that I wear every single day, and I would say that they are staples in my collection, but they also have such a range of beautiful statement pieces. And so if you're looking for something for a gift for someone or for yourself, and you're just wanting to add a little bit of sparkle into your jewelry collection, I highly recommend checking out Ana Luisa. These two rings that I wear on my right hand, I have worn for months now. I have my little crescent ring and I have my heart ring, and I just wear these every single day. I wear them in the shower. I wear them to ride horses. I wear them while writing my dissertation. If that does not speak to not only the quality, but also the just beauty and the versatility of the Ana Luisa jewelry range, I don't know what does. And I just absolutely love them. But I recently picked up a new piece and then also put on an old piece that I wanted to share with you. I have my little loop ring, which is brand new. It's beautiful, just a nice statement piece. And then I have this little crown ring, which I actually found back in my collection last night, and I decided to put it on because I just have such a beautiful range of jewelry to pick from, but I tend to wear the same pieces often, and I just wanted to try something a little bit new. I also have on my brand new little heart necklace. I have so many necklaces from Ana Luisa to pick from, and this one is just so beautiful, dainty, versatile, can kind of go with anything, and I just absolutely love their jewelry. So in order to celebrate Ana Luisa's anniversary, I just wanted to say thank you again directly to Andrea and to the Ana Luisa team, and also to you that have supported my channel, make it possible for me to collaborate with such incredible brands. If you want to check out Ana Luisa with a discount, I'm going to go ahead and put all the information right here as well as in the description below, so go ahead and click on the link and head over to their website to scroll while finishing this video. Now we have my two favorite books in the academic setting of all time: A Discovery, which is by Deborah Harkness, and Babel by R.F. Kuang. I cannot describe how much I love these books. It is not just a 5-star. These are 6-star reads. Like, these are in my top 3 books. That is how much I love them. Babel was the book that got me back into reading. I started reading it back in, I believe, October of 2022, and because it was set in Oxford, everybody had said that I needed to read it, and it was highly recommended, but little did I know how much this book was going to mean to me. So Robin is born in China. He is an orphan and is taken back to London by an English professor, and is told that in order to be supported, he would need to get into Oxford's Babel Institution for Language. This is fantastical realism. So this is set in 19th century England, and at the time, as many of us know, and especially if you follow my channel and you follow my research, then you know that that particular period was the height of British colonialism. Now, in this particular setting, British colonialism is really powered by silver, and silver is actually charged by having a matching pair between 2 different languages. And England is not only dependent on the resources from these colonized nations and peoples, but also dependent on their actual people to become students to find more powerful matching pairs. And so Robin is essentially forcibly coerced into training to become a student at Babel. And when Robin arrives at Oxford, he becomes friends with 3 of the other language students. It basically follows their journey through their time at Oxford, their rose-colored, beautiful romanticization of Oxford as an institution when they first arrive, and then also becoming readily aware of its faults and how it is that it exploits people in order to operate, that it doesn't really care about the individual students themselves and their intellectual integrity, but finding ways to benefit and profit from their labor. As a former Oxford student and as a graduate student at an elite institution, I resonated with this book in a way that I can hardly articulate. I had really difficult experiences at Oxford, but also really beautiful friendships and really incredible memories. And this book, although it doesn't touch on nearly the same themes of the things that I experienced, just really echoed the emotions that I experienced and this disillusionment with the institution. The themes of colonialism and extraction and exploitation and friendship and language, it's so insanely beautiful, and I love this book so much. I try to get everybody in my life to read it. I'm currently in the process of trying to get London Boy to read it while we go on vacation, so I'll keep you posted. But this book was so memorable for me as a reading experience, and as you can see, I feel very emotional about it. I love this book so much. I actually got to meet Rebecca Kuang when I was at Yale. She's just such a beautiful, nice, intellectually incredible, and just brilliant person, and I just love all of her writing. I loved Yellowface, I love Babel, I read Poppy Wars, and I can't wait for her next book. If there's one book that you need to read in this entire video, please, 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 please give Babel a try. And this is also a special edition that I picked up, so it has this beautiful sprayed edge, this, special gilded cover, and these incredible end papers. I love this book so much and I really want to reread it, but there's just so many books to read. So it's kind of hard to, want to reread some of your favorites when there's so many books that are coming out. So let me talk a little bit about my next favorite. It is Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. Just a little bit of backstory. I watched, I think, the first episode of A Discovery of Witches with a friend a couple of years ago. At the time, I had expected, based on what people had said, that it was set in Oxford, it was about an early modern historian, and witches and vampires, and at the time I was very set that I did not like fantasy, which is ironic now, given my love of fiction, especially fantasy fiction. But I watched the first episode and they spend a bit of time in Oxford, but then they quickly go on all of these adventures, and I was like, oh, this isn't really for me. I really wanted to focus on her being a historian and being in Oxford and all of that. But last year when I moved to London and I kept going back to Oxford to do research, the comment I kept getting on my videos was you're the real life Diana Bishop, and I was like, who is Diana Bishop? And so people kept also messaging me that I should read A Discovery of Witches, and so finally I was like, okay, fine. I don't like fantasy, but I'll give it a try. And it became my #1 favorite book. This book changed my life, and I don't say that lightly. Diana is an early modern historian. She's a professor at Yale who returns to Oxford after she's received tenure in order to write her next book. She's in the Bodleian Library doing archival work when she comes across an enchanted manuscript that has been missing for hundreds of years. Along the journey, she meets a very handsome vampire who has been looking for this book along with all of the other creatures in this world, and they just go on this wild adventure trying to discover the manuscript, trying to discover the origins of creation. It just takes them through the most remarkable experience, and everything about her as a character, the fact that she's an early modern historian, the fact that she is a professor at Yale, the fact that she went to Oxford, the fact that she rides horses, the fact that she has chestnut hair, all of these things. It just feels a little spooky that we are so closely aligned. And a lot of the theory behind the genetics of witches and vampires and demons relates to matrilineal descent. And as somebody who studies matrilineal descent in the early modern period, this is really fascinating to me. So this is a 6-star read. Everyone needs to read it. It is absolutely stunning. So much fun. It looks like a beefy book, but let me tell you, this is a quick read. I love it. I've been rereading it, and it just feels like a warm hug. It feels like returning to a friend. Now I'm going to share with you my academic setting fiction books TBR, because obviously I have a lot of books that I want to read. The first I actually picked up last year, and this is The Atlas 6 by Olivie Blake. I have heard mixed reviews on this, but essentially this is a secret society of magicians, and apparently there's 6 of them. It's a multi-point of view fiction novel, and although the consensus seems to be a little bit mixed as to how people feel about it, the most recent addition to this particular series came out a couple of months ago, and people seem to really love that one. And because it's kind of an academic-y setting, I'm intrigued. It is one that I definitely want to get to, and it is on my TBR. I started it, as you can see, and I can't wait to review and share more with you later on. The other book that I was recommended because I love the discovery of witches is the Physick book of Deliverance by Katherine Howe. Basically, it is a early modern American historian at Harvard doing her PhD. She just did her comprehensive exams. She comes across a grimoire from the Salem witch trials. And I put it down because when I moved to London, this was recommended, I picked it up, and I had just gotten over the anxiety and experience of comprehensive exams and submitting my prospectus, and this felt a little too close to home, but I feel like enough time has passed, and I'm really excited to dive in and get to see what this is all about. I also feel like this is something that my friend Leigh would really love because it's about the Salem witch trials. As an early American historian, this just sounds right up my alley. So this is actually going to be on my October TBR. So keep an eye out because I definitely want to get to this and finish this off so I can see whether or not I recommend it. And lastly, we have Immortal Dark. This is a vampire and human academy, but it is unlike anything I have ever read. So I started it, as you can see. This is by Tigest, Girma, and this is based on, I believe, Ethiopian lore. Our primary character, her sister June, has gone missing, and she thinks that the person who stole her sister, kidnapped her sister, is their vampire. In this particular universe, vampires are not allowed to feed on just anybody. They can only feed on their host family, and she is part of one of these host families. And the vampire assigned to her host family is the one she thinks that has taken her sister. However, in order to find out, she needs to go to the academy and graduate. It's quite complicated. It's really difficult to actually describe the world, but that's kind of the magic of this particular book. I have been just hooked on this particular writer, the way that she sets up plot, the way she writes her characters. I will say that the world itself is a bit confusing just because it changes a lot of the lore and a lot of the rules around the way that we think about vampires in popular media and especially in fiction. But I'm really enjoying it so far, and I don't know what my rating is going to be. When I have it, I will tell you, and it might be worth checking it out yourself, because if you like academic settings, you like a little bit of like thriller intrigue, then I think you might enjoy this one. However, it is a little bit of a heavier world building scenario, so if you are a fantasy reader, this might be one that you would really enjoy. However, if you're not a fantasy reader and you're more of somebody that likes literary fiction or historical fiction, I'd still give it a try, but it might be a little bit intense in terms of the world building. So we've now come to the end of today's video. I just really wanted to make a video talking about books. I originally had sought out to make a video about dark academia. However, I found that I actually haven't read very much dark academia. So if you have recommendations for books that you think I would like based on what I've said in this video and what you've seen from my other videos, then please comment it down below. I love recommendations. We also have a book club over at Accepted Society, so if you would like to join our book club chat or attend any of our book chats, then please go head over there so that way you can join us. Thank you again to Annalisa for sponsoring today's video. If you want to check out Annalisa for yourself, go ahead and click on the link in the description below. And if there's other book related videos that you just like for fun, then please let me know, because I am not a book talk or booktube or bookstagram creator, but I do love books and I like making random videos talking about them sometimes. So if you have recommendations, let me know. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, friends.